Alright, what's going on, guys? Today I'll be giving my MLB DraftKings picks for Wednesday, July 18th. We got a pretty big slate, a full 15-game slate. Just looking at pitching today, pitching is kind of weak in my opinion. You do have some good studs up top, but their matchups are pretty bad, and all the studs, in my opinion, are overpriced. And then the mid-tier and value tier in the pitching is pretty weak as well. So I definitely think you can take a stand at pitcher today, maybe go towards the cheaper end and really pay up for some bats today. There's some really good bats going. Got a Coors Field game on this slate. So there are definitely some expensive bats that you want to get in. So I think I'm going to be fading the stud pitchers up top, looking towards the mid-range and value tier for my pitchers, and then really paying up for all the bats. So yeah, that's how I'm going to be approaching this slate. And let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so like I said, looking at pitcher up top, your three guys over 10K. You got Clayton Kershaw, Robbie Ray, and Brad Peacock. I think that all three of these guys are not going to be guys that I consider today. I really like rostering Kershaw. He's always the safest option. But at 14K, I think he is overpriced. And the matchup against the White Sox is a pretty bad matchup. The White Sox, they're a top 5 team against lefties. They don't really strike out a lot against lefties either. So I don't know if I'm going to be on Kershaw today. I don't think I'm going to be playing him at that price tag. And given the matchup, I don't think he's going to be able to pay out that salary. So I'm not going to be on Kershaw today. And then Robbie Ray, don't really want to play him against Cincinnati. Going to that ballpark's very hitter-friendly. The Reds have a pretty high implied run total, so I'm not going to be on Robbie Ray either. And then Brad Peacock, I do like Peacock somewhat, but I think he's just too overpriced. I'm not going to be paying that price tag for him. So I'm going to be off those three guys, looking towards the mid-range and value tier. So the first guy that I like at the mid-range is going to be Mike Clevenger at 9,100, getting a matchup against the Giants. I don't really like Clevenger's price tag. I definitely think he is a little bit too much at 9,100, but he is definitely the safest option at the mid-range in my opinion. If you look at his last 4 games, Clevenger has been really consistent. In his last 4, he's put up 12, 27, 25, and 22 DraftKings points. So like I said, Clevenger, he's probably your safest option if you're looking towards the mid-range. This Giants offense is not a team that you're going to be scared of. If you look at how they rank versus righties, they're not a strikeout-heavy team. They're only striking out 19.6% of the time. But versus righties, they don't hit the ball well at all. They're only hitting a 240 average versus righties this year and a 291 WOBA, which does rank towards the bottom of the league. So the Giants, they're definitely not a team that you're going to be fearing. And although they don't strike out a lot, I still think Clevenger is in a good spot here. I definitely think that he can get about 5 to 6 strikeouts. I think he'll be able to pitch deep into the game, might get a strikeout per inning. I'm expecting at least 20 DraftKings points out of Clevenger. If he gets that for me at 9,100, I will definitely take that. If he gets that amount, then he'll return value on that salary. So I really like Mike Clevenger today. As my SP1, I just think he's the safest option at the mid-range. The Giants do have a low team total right now. As I'm recording this video, Vegas only has them implied to score 4 runs, which is pretty low. Clevenger's going to be pitching in that ballpark in San Francisco. Going to the National League, he'll be able to face the opposing pitcher in that pitcher-friendly park. I think Mike Clevenger is set up to have a good game here, so I'm going to be locking him in as my SP1 at 9,100. And then for my SP2, I'm going to be going towards the cheaper end, towards the cheaper part of the mid-range. And I really like Ivan Nova today at 7,600, getting a matchup against the Brewers. Now this matchup is definitely not a good matchup offensively. The Brewers, they do hit righties pretty well, but we know this team strikes out a ton versus right-handed pitching. They rank 3rd in the league in strikeout rate. They're striking out 25% of the time so far this year versus righties. Offensively, they are a pretty good team versus righties. They're hitting a 252 average on a 330 WOBA. But the Brewers are going to be playing in PNC, in Pittsburgh's ballpark, a very pitcher-friendly park. They're going to be getting a pretty big park downgrade playing in that ballpark. So I do think Ivan Nova's in a pretty good spot here. Pitching at home in that ballpark will definitely help him. If you look at Nova's home and road splits, he does pitch a little bit better at home. He's averaging close to 17 DraftKings points at home this year, whereas on the road he's only averaging about 14 to 15. So I think Ivan Nova is in a good spot here. He's relatively cheap as well at just 7,600. You're not going to need much for him to return value on that salary. You're going to need about 15 to 20 DraftKings points for him to hit value. I definitely think he can do that. Although Nova isn't really a strikeout guy, Milwaukee definitely strikes out a ton, so Nova could get some Ks here. I could see him getting 5 to 6 strikeouts, pitching about 6 or 7 innings, maybe allowing a run or 2, but if he does put up an outing close to that, he will definitely be able to return value on his salary. So I like Ivan Nova today. as my SP2 at just 7,600. When you plug in Clevenger and Nova as your two pitchers, that still leaves you over 4,100 remaining per player. So we have some good salary to work with for our hitters. Can definitely pay up for some of the stud hitters going today. So my first hitter, we're going to be going to third base. Not going to be paying up to the top here, more of a mid-range play. But I really like Jake Lamb today at 4,400, getting a matchup against Sal Romano. If you just look at Vegas lines today, the Diamondbacks do have a very high implied run total. One of the highest on the slate, I believe. Right now, Vegas has them implied to score 5.4 runs, which definitely ranks up there in the slate. And although Jake Lamb has been pretty bad as of late, he's been pretty cold, I still like him today at just 4,400. I definitely think that he is too cheap today given the matchup and the ballpark. Cincinnati's ballpark is a very hitter-friendly park. This matchup is really good against Sal Romano. Sal Romano, he hasn't pitched much in the majors this year. It's definitely a small sample size. But so far this year versus lefties, he's given up a 4.16 WOBA to lefties. And if you look at home runs, he's also given up home runs to lefties. 3 home run per 9 so far this year to left-handed hitters. Then hard contact, dude's been getting crushed by lefties as well. 33.3% medium contact and 55.6% hard contact. When you combine those two numbers, that's nearly 90% medium and hard contact to lefties. So although Romano hasn't been pitching much this year, in the time that he has pitched, he's been getting absolutely crushed by left-handed hitters. So I absolutely love Jake Lamb today. I love these Arizona bats. I will have another Arizona bat in my 5. I definitely think that they are one of the top stacks today. So try and get some exposure to their offense if you can. Definitely think they're going to be able to put up some runs today. So I really like Jake Lamb today. The third base mid-range for 4,400. And then for my final 2 plays, we're going to be going to the outfield. The first guy that I like, a guy that I want to pay up for today, one of my favorite plays on this slate, and that's Charlie Blackmon at 5,600, getting a matchup against Dinelson Lamet. I absolutely love Charlie Blackmon today. I think he is one of the top plays on this slate. Blackmon, he has just been one of the best hitters so far this year versus right-handed pitching. And he's getting a great matchup today against a right-handed pitcher that really struggles with lefties. So I absolutely love Blackmon today. If you just look at this dude's box score, he's just been so consistent as of late. In his last 4 games, he's put up 16, 10, 10, and 23 DraftKings points. So he's just been absolutely killing it. And at home, we know Blackmon is a beast. He's going to be playing at home in Coors Field, that best hitter's park in the game. So this is a great spot for Blackmon. If you just look at the matchup, like I said, Dinelson Lamet really struggles with lefties. So far this year versus lefties, he's given up a 4.23 WOBA. And if you look at home runs and hard contact, he's given up a ton of home runs as well. So far this year versus lefties, a 3 home run per 9. And like I said, hard contacts, dude's been getting absolutely crushed by lefties. 49.2% medium contact and 39.7% hard contact. So that's nearly 90% medium and hard contact. So like I said, Dinelson Lamet really struggles with lefties. Has really been getting hit hard by lefties this year. And if you look at the Rockies team total right now, they do have the highest team total on this slate, obviously. It's 6.5 runs. So Vegas is expecting Lamet to struggle here. And I definitely think he will, especially to the lefties. So definitely get some exposure to these Rockies lefties in your lineup. I think Charlie Blackmon, he's one of the top plays today. My favorite play on the slate. And I'm going to be locking him in at the outfield for 5,600. And since we didn't pay up for pitcher and went towards the mid-range, we do have the salary to pay up for these expensive bats. So like I said, that's why I like going cheap at pitcher today, really jamming in some of the top bats. I think there's some really good expensive guys that you want to get into your lineup. So that's why I'm going cheap at pitcher. And then for my final play, sticking in the outfield, another guy that I like from the Diamondbacks, that's David Peralta, 4,200, getting the same matchup against Sal Romano. Like I just said earlier, Sal Romano, short sample. He hasn't pitched much this year, but in that short amount of time, dude's been getting crushed by lefties. Like I said, 4.16 WOBA, a lot of home runs, ton of hard contact. So I think this is a terrific spot for the Diamondbacks. I'm going to try and get as much exposure to their lineup as I can. Definitely going to have some Diamondbacks and Rocky stacks in my lineup. I think they're the top 2 stacks today. It would probably be chalky, but I think it's for good reason. Both of those teams are in great spots. But like I said, same thing goes with Jake Lamb as it does Peralta. Peralta, he's just a good hitter. He hits righties well. Playing in that ballpark in Cincinnati, a nice ballpark for him. So I really like David Peralta today. Towards the mid-range in outfield at just 4,200. I think he is too cheap today. This matchup is just too good. Playing in that ballpark, things are lining up well for this Diamondbacks team. So I'm going to be looking to get more exposure to their lineup with David Peralta at 4,200. And yeah, guys, so these are my 5 plays for tonight. I went with Mike Clevenger, Ivan Nova, Jake Lamb, Charlie Blackmon, and David Peralta. When you plug these 5 guys in your lineup, that still leaves you an average of over 3,800 remaining per player. So you can definitely build around this 5. Maybe plug in a value play or 2, and then build a lineup around this 5. Or if you want to get my full lineups, then be sure to follow me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. My lineups are $5 a day, or you can get a week of lineups for $25. So be sure to message me on Twitter if you are interested in that. Or if you just have any questions about the slate or need to ask me something, you can contact me on Twitter as well at the DFS_GOAT. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. If this is your first time on my channel, please be sure to subscribe. I do upload these videos pretty much every day, so I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And if you never want to miss out on any videos, if you scroll down to where the subscribe button is, there is a bell icon. If you click that bell icon, that'll actually notify you every time I upload. So be sure to do that as well if you never want to miss out on any videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Good luck tonight, guys. Peace.